Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Jack of All Trades Clothing.
Today on Variant, I give you a brief rundown of the alternate versions of Batman in comic books. Welcome to Variant, we love comics more than Superman wishes Krypton didn't blow up. I'm your host, Arris. Since DC's Convergence event is in full swing, we've been seeing a bunch of different versions of Batman from different timelines and universes popping up in Convergence titles over the past month or so. So I figured this was a perfect time to give you guys a brief summary of the alternate versions of Batman that he's had over the years in comics, due to the different timelines, Elseworlds storylines, and so on. Now, I won't be able to talk about every single version of Batman that's been made, but I will be able to hit the most prominent as well as my favorites. Also, I'm not going to be able to spend too much time talking about each different Batman because, well, there's a lot to get through. But without any further ado, let's talk some Batman. Let's kick this shindig off with the main Batman we all know and love, Bruce Wayne Batman of Prime Earth or New Earth or Earth Zero, whatever you want to call it. This Batman is the main Batman we've all come to know and love, as he's the original that all other Batmen have stemmed from, whether they're from the future or a different world or just plain different in one way or another. My favorite alternate version of Batman is probably Terry McGinnis, aka Batman Beyond. He was first introduced in the Batman Beyond animated series and was created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Terry McGinnis was born with a partial strand of the original Batman's DNA. Terry was a reformed juvenile delinquent who stole the Batsuit to avenge the murder of his father. Under Bruce Wayne's guidance, Terry became the Tomorrow Knight of the futuristic Neo-Gotham known as Batman Beyond. And I've just loved the character ever since he was first introduced. His whole story and concept is fresh and interesting, not to mention the design of the character is great. And just recently, Tim Drake actually took over the role as Batman Beyond, so that's a nice little tidbit. You also have Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael, who is most famous for taking over the Batman mantle after Bane broke Batman's back, decommissioning him for some time. He's the Batman from the very popular Nightfall storyline. Once he became Batman, however, he became very violent and Bruce was forced to reclaim his Batman identity. I actually loved this version of Batman as a kid, mainly because I thought his costume was awesome. While I'm talking about Azrael, there's actually another Azrael, Michael Lane, who everyone knows most from the Arkham games. He's a former police officer who's taken the sword of Azrael as an agent of order and purity. There's the Injustice Batman, which of course started out as a video game, but soon after became a very popular comic book because the concept is just awesome. After being betrayed by a longtime friend Superman, who was drugged by the Joker, Batman was forced to go underground and form the Insurgency. His only goal is to end the High Counselor's tyrannical rule of Earth. Keeping this Batman train rolling, we have Kingdom Come Batman from Earth 22. After years of physical abuse brought on by the physical demands of crime fighting, Bruce had to resort to having an exoskeleton surgically joined to his body to maintain his physical movement and agility. With this suit, the Cape Crusader can once again wage his personal war on crime. We have Gotham by Gaslight Batman, which takes place in the year 1889. This comic and story features many of Batman's characters we love, such as Commissioner Gordon, who is called Inspector Gordon in this. Like I said, this Batman takes place in the 1800s, so of course it's only fitting that the bad guy Batman faces during this time period is Jack the Ripper. Moving along yet again, we have Batman from Earth 43, aka Vampire Batman. In this version of Batman, Dracula has descended upon Gotham City, and he's brought his deadly children of the night with him. So who else is gonna stop him besides Batman? But as fate would have it, Batman ends up getting bit by Dracula. So Batman himself ends up becoming a vampire. Now, if Batman as a vampire doesn't sound interesting to you, I don't know what will. While we're on the topic of monster-themed Batman, you have Blackest Night Batman, or Zombie Batman as he's become known. Necron apparently brought Batman's corpse back to life when he was thought to be dead. But of course he wasn't because, well, he's Batman. It was later revealed to be a clone briefly reanimated to gain the necessary connections to send Black Lantern rings to Superman, Wonder Woman, Superboy, Green Arrow, and so on. Another popular version of Batman is Red Sun Batman from the Superman Red Sun storyline. He's known as Batmanoff, as this interpretation of Bruce is Russian. Summing up this Batman, Batmanoff is an Elseworlds version of Batman from Earth 30. In this universe, he's a Russian terrorist hellbent on bringing down the Communist Party. We also have Thrill Killer Batman from Earth 37. In this version, Batgirl and Robin fight a female Joker in the 1960s, while Detective Bruce Wayne becomes the Batman after Robin's death. Then we have one of the most colorful Batmen ever created, the Dark Knight of planet Zor-N-Ar, who teleported Earth's Batman to his native planet to ward off invading robots. This alien incarnation of Batman had many Superman-like powers. The modern version was a second personality created by Batman in the event of a psychological attack. The Batman of Zor-N-Ar was a much more violent persona of Batman using bats, pipes, and homemade explosives. The Amalgam Universe would bring us Darkclaw, which is a hybrid Batman merging Marvel Comics Wolverine with Batman, and instead of his name being Bruce Wayne, his name is Logan Wayne. Do you get it? Because Wolverine's name is Logan, and Bruce's last name is Wayne. I didn't need to explain that, but I wanted to. We also have Owlman. Owlman is an evil doppelganger of Batman from an alternate universe. He is a member of the Crime Syndicate, a team of supervillains paralleling the Justice League. And pretty much every comic book fan has heard of Bizarro, which is Superman's imperfect opposite, but there's also Bat-Zarro, who's Batman's total opposite from Bizarro World. He mostly appeared in the Superman Batman comic books drawn by Ed McGuinness. You have Batmite. Batmite idolizes Batman and is an imp similar to the Superman villain, Mr. You know what? I'm just gonna let him tell you.
Repeat after me, bright boy. It's mix. Yes. Spit. Lick.
I hope that did it for you, because I'm not saying it. Batmite also appears as a small childlike man in a wonky batsuit costume. Batmite possesses what appears to be near infinite magical power, but in reality is a highly advanced technology from the fifth dimension that cannot be understood by humans. Are you guys tired yet? Of course not. So let's continue. We have Batman in Darkest Night. The comic is an Elseworlds story in which Bruce Wayne becomes the Green Lantern instead of Hal Jordan. This one change creates a domino effect which alters many events and characters in the DC universe. The story draws heavily from related Batman comics including Batman Year One, The Killing Joke, and it's actually just a great read. And so is Superman Speeding Bullets, which is another Elseworlds story that focuses on Superman becoming Batman instead of Bruce Wayne. And now I have to mention one of everybody's favorite interpretations of Batman, The Dark Knight Returns Batman. The Dark Knight Returns tells the story of Bruce Wayne, who is in his mid-50s but comes out of retirement to fight crime once again, and faces opposition from the Gotham City Police Force, the United States government, and even Superman, which as we all know leads to the famous fight between Batman and Superman. The Dark Knight Returns is also known as one of, if not the best Batman story ever told, which is for good reason, so read that story if you haven't already. It's actually the Batman that inspired Zack Snyder's Batman in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Another cool version of Batman is Earth 2 Batman from the New 52. In this version of Batman, Bruce witnesses the death of his parents by a criminal named Joe Chill, which set in motion the events of his life that led him to become Batman. Years later, Batman found out Joe Chill and 3 hitmen who worked for Frankie Falcone were murdered by someone with enhanced strength using their bare hands. In the pursuit of the man who did this, Batman discovered that his father Thomas actually survived the mugging and had gone into hiding to keep his son safe, since it was revealed that Thomas Wayne was mixed up with some bad people. It should go without saying Bruce didn't take any of that well, let alone what his father had become, which was a man using strength-enhancing drugs to commit the murders of Joe Chill and the 3 hitmen, and from that point on refused to let his father have any further contact with him or his family. Flash forward a bit, Earth 2 Batman was killed on Apokolips. After his death, Thomas Wayne took up the mantle of Batman to honor his son and attempt to atone for his own failures. Sticking to the theme of Thomas Wayne as Batman, Flashpoint Batman is exactly that. In the Flashpoint universe, Bruce was killed instead of his parents, which drove Thomas Wayne to become Batman instead. And get this, it drove Bruce's mother, Martha Wayne, to become the Joker. Talk about a twist. Flashpoint Batman is actually one of my favorite versions of Batman ever. It's just a really clever spin on his origin, I thought.
You have the newest Batman, and this is a spoiler if you haven't read Batman Endgame or Divergence from Free Comic Book Day, so that's your warning. This new Batman in the mech suit will be no other than Jim Gordon, which I actually think will be fun to see him in the role of Batman.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the Robins, because every Robin has donned the bat cape and cowl at one point or another for one reason or another, whether they were officially Batman or not. A possible future showed Damian becoming Batman of the future after he was unable to save Batman from being killed by an unknown killer. Damian also has some supernatural power and is willing to kill, as well as having a cat named Alfred, which is kind of funny. Tim Drake wore the Silver Age batsuit during the Battle for the Cowl storyline to track down someone who was pretending to be Batman. This gun-carrying, murdering Batman Tim was tracking down ended up being Jason Todd, who decided to take up the mantle of Batman himself after Bruce Wayne's apparent death. But Dick Grayson won't have Jason Todd running around as Batman being extremely violent. So he defeats Jason and officially takes over as Batman in Bruce's absence. Dick Grayson's first big decision as Batman is to give the mantle of Robin to Damian Wayne so he could keep an eye on him. He does so without consulting Tim Drake, who was the Robin up until this point, because Dick views Tim as his equal and just couldn't have him work under him. And that, my friends, is my summary of the alternate versions of Batman. Clearly, I couldn't mention every single one, as Batman has been around for 75 plus years. But I think I hit most of the major ones from the comics. I didn't mention versions like Green Lantern Batman or Yellow Lantern Batman, because that's not really a different version of Batman, that's just the main Prime Earth Batman with different power rings. With all that said, let me know what your favorite version of Batman is in the comments section down below, because as you can see, there's a lot to choose from. People are always asking me where I get my comic book t-shirts from, like this one for instance, and the answer to that is the cool people at Jack of All Trades. Their team is always thinking outside the box, bringing new designs in limited runs. Jack of All Trades prides themselves on what they do by creating the very best in licensed apparel from the world of comic books and pop culture. Jack of All Trades is made up of an awesome team who love what they do. Also, a portion of all online sales go to Montreal Children's Hospital and the Children's Wish Foundation because, like us, they believe in giving back. Check out Jack of All Trades by clicking the link in the description below, and right now through the end of May you can save up to 40% off some of their best designs. So save money while getting less naked with Jack of All Trades. First up for Wednesday, May 13th, we have Darth Vader issue 5. Vader continues his investigation into the Empire's secrets. Now we have Secret Wars issue 2. When the Marvel Universe is gone, all that remains is Battleworld. Learn the secrets of this brave new realm. Here we have Convergence Shadow of the Bat issue 2. Batman and Azrael team up against the original Network's lineup from the Wildstorm universe. And finally, we have Convergence issue 6. Free from the reign of Telos, a pantheon of heroes unite in a last-ditch effort to defend their collective cities. And that will do it for another episode of Variant. But remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones. But I will see you all next week when I talk about all things comics.
Clearly you have a great body of work. How did you get into comics and then break into Marvel?
Well, I used to post stuff online, and then I basically did like an independent project, and then I just kind of piggybacked that into, submitted that to get more work, and then it turned out to, I ended up getting work for Marvel, so just kept moving up the ranks.